Okay. 3. A departure from this state of devotion is heart apostasy. The word apostasy means something that has lost its heat and is now just it's like waxed fruit. You know how good that waxed fruit can look when you're fasting? You think it's going to taste good. But it doesn't, so you don't desire it. Whatever a man's outward behavior may be, the moment he turns aside from sincere devotion to God, from a supreme consecration of his whole being to the service of God, he has in his heart renounced true Christianity. He is no longer in the service of God, but is serving the object upon which his heart is set. And this is the object of his devotion. That is, it is his God. Whatever his heart is set upon becomes his God. 4. Several mistakes commonly made upon this subject. 1. Many imagine that there is a real difference between devotional and other kinds of duties. Now, this is really heavy. If you don't get this, you're going to miss the whole study. Many imagine that there is a real difference between devotional duties and other kinds of duties, as if a man could be doing his duty in that which is not devotion to God. Duty meaning obligation, like a guy that says, it's my duty to put bread on the table. It's my duty to support my family. So I'm going to go do my devotions, and then I'm going to go out and support my family. The duties of devotion are generally supposed to be prayer and reading the Scriptures, together with singing and praying in the fellowship of God's house on the Sabbath. God's house. On the Sabbath, men imagine themselves to be devotional, while on weekdays, except for those few acts they call their devotions, they are serving themselves and are supremely devoted to their own interests. Now, all such ideas arise out of a total absence of true devotion. And individuals who entertain such views do not yet understand what true Christianity is. Nothing is duty if it is not performed for God. That means there's nothing that you have to do if it isn't performed for God. And God isn't pleased that you're supporting your family, or paying your debts, or brushing your teeth, if you're not doing it for Him. A man that is truly religious is as devotional in his daily business as he is on the Sabbath. The business of the world is performed by him with the same spirit and purpose as he prays, reads his Bible, and attends worship on the Sabbath. If this is not the case, he has no true religion. He has no true religion. Now, there are some people who really live for God. Oh, okay, let's stop there. I want to say that after reading Finney for a while, I never really saw this. I thought that there was a religious part of my life and a secular part of my life. I really did. I mean, it's a common way to think. I thought that my prayer life was sanctified, and my Bible study was before God. But, my brushing the teeth, going to the bathroom, eating, I mean, I knew there was a scripture, whether you eat or drink to all for the glory of God, but how to eat a hot dog for God, And I knew there were recreational times, play volleyball or ping pong or God forbid, cards. And can you do that for God? Well, according to the Bible, anything that can be done in a right spirit is being done for God, for the right motive, for the right purpose. And we're going to talk more about those things in a minute. But I just want to say, it is idiocy, and I was an idiot when I thought that there was my Christian part of my life and then my business obligations. If you're a Christian businessman, and boy, is that word misused today. If you're a Christian businessman, and you don't do your business as you would do it with Jesus Christ Himself. You know how if you're a businessman, right? And if Jesus came into the store, you'd give him the best deal. In fact, you probably wouldn't even make a profit, After a while, you'd have to make a little one to support your family, because that's God's will for you to support your family. But if Jesus came into the store, you wouldn't sell him the crummy tape machine. You wouldn't give him the thing with the high markup so you'd make the biggest profit. You wouldn't sell him the day-old bread and not say it was day-old. You wouldn't do the little tricks that businessmen do to make a little bit extra with him. And it says that if you don't do your business as a worship unto the Lord, you're just a flaming hypocrite. That's what the Pharisees did. They prayed, they prayed. Nobody's prayed as good as them. Nobody. They had praying down. They went to prayer 101 and 102 in college. They learned it. They had giving down, man. You know, and they'd write their check out, I'm giving to God. You know, drop it in the treasury. They had giving down. You know? They had prayer down. They had the scriptures down, man. They knew it backwards and forwards, just like the devil. But they didn't have worship down. They didn't have devotion down. They didn't have commitment to God down. I think it's important that you realize that Christianity, now you've heard this, I want to be a full-time Christian, not just a Sunday Christian. There is no such thing as anything else but a full-time Christian. That's like saying I'm going to be a man on Sunday and then the rest of the week I'll be a girl. That's how stupid it is. It's idiocy. 2, and this is really an important part here too. Now there are some people who really live for God and are obviously in a devotional state of mind who do not seem to realize that every act devoted to God is as acceptable to Him as prayer or praise. That means that there aren't first-class acts to God and second-class acts. There aren't 2-star activities and 3-star activities. That means that prayer as itself is not really any more spiritual than taking a bath or playing volleyball. Now that doesn't mean you should quit praying and play volleyball, because the Bible commands us to make our petitions known before the Lord and pray without ceasing. Obedience is one of the most pleasing things to God, but only for the right motives. If by necessary responsibilities these people that have a right state of mind are kept from spending much time in prayer or going to a lot of meetings, Satan takes advantage of their ignorance and brings them into bondage. He tries to persuade them that they are neglecting their duties to God by attending to other things. Now you who are devoted to God should understand that if His providence should confine you at home to nurse the sick or prevent you from observing those hours of secret prayer that you are used to keeping, you are not to be brought into bondage or condemnation by this if you are conscious that these other duties are being done for the Lord. Whether you eat or drink, therefore, do all for the glory of God. All for the glory of God. And you can't be a glutton for the glory of God, but you can eat or drink for the glory of God. There's a right way to do something and there's a wrong way. Whether I talk about playing volleyball or playing ping pong, you can become in the flesh and competitive and hate the people who win. You know, they talk about being a good sport or a bad sport. Being a good sport is just loving your opponent as yourself. It's scriptural. You know, doing unto them as you would wish they do unto you, whether they won or lost. If they won, you don't want them to gloat, and if they lose, you don't want them to pout. So you don't pout and you don't gloat. And if the person says that was my point and you thought it was your point, and you talk about it a little bit and he still is firm, well, give him your cloak. Here, have 2 points. Turn the other cheek. You know, the other cheek doesn't mean, all right, well, you play by yourself. What I'm saying is there's a Christian way to do just about everything, because nothing in itself is good or evil. The Bible says that. He says, I am convinced. Nothing in itself is good or evil. But why you do it? He says, all things are lawful, but not all things are profitable. You know? Now there are certain things in themselves literally that are unlawful, like adultery or fornication, but really, adultery or fornication is sex. Okay? Sex is not unlawful with the right person at the right time. But with the wrong person at the wrong time is what makes it unlawful, or the wrong motive. And that's the wrong person at the wrong time is with the wrong motive. Did you know that, you know, rape and incest and homosexual sex and all that other stuff is the same act done with the wrong person at the wrong time with the wrong motive as marital sex, which is godly and pleasing in His sight. So, and a knife, you know, you have a knife. With the knife, you can cut up bread, you can prepare a new meal. Somebody's all tied up, you can release them from their captor, or you can slit somebody's throat. The knife isn't evil. The handgun isn't evil. You know that even the abortion operation isn't evil. My wife had a tubal pregnancy, and they had to go in And in her case, it had already passed through when they went in to take it out. It had already passed through. She had a miscarriage. But they have to remove a woman's tubes. If her pregnancy attaches to the inside of the fallopian tube, it can kill her, and the baby can't come to term. So in that case, abortion is good. Because it's not evil. Because the motive is to save the life of the mother, and the baby can't be saved in that case. You understand what I'm saying? That there's no act. I had to shoot my dog 3 weeks ago. He had cancer. You know, he was suffering. And I checked into having him put to sleep, and two different people told me, two different people, and we read it somewhere, that when they put him to sleep, they suffer for a while. That it isn't like Seconal. They don't just go to sleep, their heart doesn't stop, but they have pain in that process. And I knew that a bullet through the head was not painful for the dog, but it would be painful for me. But I wanted to save the dog from pain, so I borrowed a gun and shot my dog of 10 years. It wasn't easy. It was not murder either, because the motive was for its benefit. You understand? The motive made the shooting of a handgun, so I'm talking again, motive sanctifies or defiles any action. Motive sanctifies or defiles any action. Okay, I killed my dog, but it was good. My wife went in to have a pregnancy removed, and it was good. Those are evil things in most cases, killing and abortion. But the Pharisees prayed and read the scriptures, and it was evil, because the motive was wrong. So good things become evil, and bad things become good, because you can sanctify or defile anything by motive. Does everybody understand that? Sorry to gross you out with such heavy illustrations.